All right, so look, I am right there with you. I also don't have time to write. Right now, I mean, look around this office. Everything's off the walls, everything is out of the shelves. We are moving right now, and I have to sit and do a video because that's what I committed to. And so that takes some of my time. I've got 1,000 other little things that take some of my time. So when does the writing part get done? And maybe you have a day job. We all have obligations, right? Day jobs and family and pets and children, and we've got social obligations and events we want to attend. Finding the time to write can be a challenge. So here's some ideas. Let's go through some things that I think might help. One, what is writing time? Let's start there. How much time do you need to write? Now, everyone kind of has this picture of, I'm sitting at a desk. Maybe I've got my coffee ready. I've got everything's perfect. The music is going. I've got a window out onto the world, and there's birds singing, and I have all day to write. I can tell you from experience that if you have all day to write, those are the days when you're usually not going to write nearly as much. Don't ask me why. It's a trick of psychology. I'm sure I could look into this and discover why. But I have discovered over the years, as I've had day jobs and other obligations that press me, that I actually get more writing done when I have the pressure to do it in these short bursts, in these increments. And so one thing I would tell you is dedicate at least 10 minutes every day to sit down and write. I think what you'll find is if you start writing and you're writing for 10 minutes, you've probably got a couple of minutes more, maybe another 10 minutes more. There's usually some wiggle room. 10 minutes comes with buffers usually. But if all you've got is 10 minutes, then use that 10 minutes. Sit down and just start writing. Now, if you don't know what to write, that's a different topic for a different video. We'll talk about how to juice up your inspiration at some other time. And feel free to ask me for that video in the comments. By the way, like, share, and subscribe as required by YouTube law. If you can at least spend 10 minutes diving in and just writing, don't edit yourself. That's key to this. I think one thing that robs a lot of writers of time is they're trying to get it perfect on the first go. Man, make it your aim to make this ugly copy. Write ugly and then edit to beautiful later. That 10 minutes can be gold. Now, you can also write on lunch breaks if you have a day job. Take half an hour after work before you leave your desk and do some writing right there on the job. You're off the clock at that point. You vary up your methods. This will actually help you create a lot of writing time. One thing I've discovered recently is that if I have a notepad with me, I'm writing a lot more stuff by hand. Now, I love to type. I love to type my manuscripts. I'm a very fast typist. So I like having a keyboard, and I like my laptop or my iPad or my desktop computer in front of me. I like that. That's my preferred way to write, but it doesn't mean it's the only way I can or should write. So consider varying the way you write. Now, that may look like sitting down with a notepad, carrying a small pocket notebook with you, or just having a bunch of 3x5 index cards. A lot of writers have done that over the century. It could also look like dictation. Every one of us these days has this little rectangle that we carry in our pocket. Some people call it a rectangle of sadness and anger. I call it an everyday tool that I can use for all kinds of stuff, like recording videos or like writing. I can sit with my phone, open a document, and type on my phone, or if I'm in a hurry, if I'm driving and I want to get some writing time in, I can try dictation. One way that I recommend, one method I recommend is using, if you have an iPhone, and I'm sure there's an Android equivalent here, but iPhone has voice memo, and you can dictate into voice memo and it will automatically transcribe that dictation, my recommendation is to grab that transcription, drop it into your AI of choice. I tend to use ChatGPT, and ask the AI to format that text for you so that it adds, parenthetical breaks, or not parenthetical breaks, but paragraph breaks, adds quotation marks, adds all the things that you maybe missed, the punctuation and other things, and breaks it into clean paragraphs for you. That's a tip. So that's one way to get some more writing time out of your day. Don't underestimate, though, just sitting for those brief moments that you have. And I know we're all busy, and as soon as you walk in the door, you got kids to feed, or homes to clean, or you got all kinds of things, mowing the lawn or whatever. Place some value on the thinking that goes into writing while you are doing other things. Washing dishes, most of us have dishwashers now, but recently our dishwasher broke, and so I became the dishwasher. So while I was washing dishes by hand in our sink like some kind of caveman, I was thinking about the stories that I'm writing. So that's another way to kind of squeeze writing in. Even if it's not physically writing, you're doing the legwork. You're getting a story developed in your head so that it's easier to dictate or jot down real quickly, or type up when you've got the time. I get it. It is hard to balance a chaotic life with doing this stuff. So one thing to consider is there's no real shame in pausing. If you don't have time to write right now, then pause the writing. Make little notes here and there to remind yourself of ideas you had, or dialogue you want to include, or plot twists you want to put into the work. And then purposefully set aside time. Everyone can do it. I've never met anyone yet who couldn't take a day off at some point. If you are not one of those, this may not be the time for you to be writing. If you are so entrenched in chaos in your life that you can't schedule a couple of hours a day, some time off to actually sit and do the writing, there's no shame in admitting that right now may not be the time to write. It's okay. If you're trying to write to a deadline, that's different. But if you're trying to write to a deadline, it usually means that there's a reason. It means that someone's expecting that book. Maybe you've got a contract and you need to get the book written. Well, that's an obligation, and you make time for other obligations. So you're going to have to figure it out, right? I think, though, most people, if we're honest, can pull an extra 30 minutes to an hour out of every day. And maybe it's scattered, or maybe it's a focused bit of time. We all need good sleep, but getting up an extra 30 minutes early can do a lot for you. I mean, you'd be shocked at how much you can get done in 30 minutes. And if you got up 30 minutes early and went straight to a keyboard and did some writing, or go straight to a notepad and did some writing, and then got on with your day, it's a weight off your shoulder, and everything else becomes a little easier because you're not stressing about the fact that I didn't do the writing. I know it's easy to say that kind of thing. Trust me, I have had these challenges. I will confess, I don't have kids, but I've got lots of other chaos that's happened in my life, and I've had to deal, and I've had to learn how to work around it. I'm not trying to give tough love. I'm just trying to point out that if you're honest with yourself, there's probably more time than you're willing to admit. So be honest with yourself. Now, I carry my phone with me all the time, and sometimes I will have a Bluetooth keyboard. That's a great writing tool. I guess what I'm trying to say with that is don't be precious about what tools you need to do the writing. Open yourself up to the possibility of writing in different ways. Even if it's not the most efficient way for you to write, just getting words on a page, just getting them recorded in some way is progress. And every bit of progress moves you towards the goal of a finished book. So all that said, thank you for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Tell me your pressing concerns and questions in the comments below. And I'm trying to make videos to answer a lot of these questions. So take care of yourselves. God bless. I'll see you next time.